So just by means of introduction, or a slight anecdote, when I was first writing, I hadn't had my first, maybe second book out, and there were library talks. And obviously no one, and the library was small, it was then I think during the day. And we started off with 7 people, but probably a trap for young players, the library decided to have afternoon tea before the talk rather than after. So 5 people stayed for the afternoon tea and we were left with 2. But it was a very nice afternoon as it happened. And as Avril said, it becomes quite intimate, although there were almost more on stage than there are in front of us, but I think we can work this well enough. What I might do actually, given the size of this, I might just get you each to grab a stool, and I'll stay standing. But if you sit down, I was worried we might not be able to see when we were inundated by the hordes. But unfortunately, that's not the problem we have. Okay, so for those of you that don't know me, my name is Suzanne Leal. Over there. I'm the author of 6 books, most recently The Year We Escaped and The Watchful Wife. I like to facilitate literary, community, corporate events, and I host Thursday Book Club, which has an interesting backstory I won't tell you now, which started in COVID, and that's an online book club, sort of book club that I'd be happy going to, which is you can turn up late, you can leave early, you don't have to read anything in particular, and you don't have to come. And it seems to have been successful because we've been going about 5 or 6 years. But today I'm here with my fellow residents, Sophie Douglas, Vilma Bader, Mary Colussi. As you know, I've been a recipient of a residency at Barrett House Studios, which has been terrific. And today's job is to find out a little bit more about my colleagues, Sophie, Vilma and Mary. Sophie, I'm going to start with you. So you come to us as many things. You're a performer, you're a writer, you're a sculptor, and you've got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Theatre from the Victorian College of the Arts. Now, was this acting or writing or directing?
Oh, thank you, Suzanne. It was a little bit of both, like everything. It was theatre making. So it was like directing, writing, acting, sound, lighting, the whole shebang, which was awesome. And I kind of accidentally fell into it. I only wanted to do the acting, but the theatre making actually was where I needed it to be. It was awesome.
And you're now completing a playwriting course at the Old Fitz Theatre. Tell me about that. Let me situate the Old Fitz and what the course involves.
The playwriting course is in the Old Fitz, which is in Woolloomooloo, and it's run by the playwright Mary Rachel Brown, who is doing the Dapto Chaser at the Ensemble right now, and she's amazing. And we meet like 2 times a month, and she kind of mentors a group of us, and it's the first year that it's been done. And yeah, it's very exciting. So we're just starting, and it'll go through the whole year.
If you're at the evening opening on Thursday, you might notice that when Sophie gave her speech, she gave it without any notes at all, which in retrospect is not surprising given that you do a lot of improvisation. Can you tell me exactly what improvising is apart from, oh no, I've forgotten my speech? Apparently it's a much more artistic and creative endeavour. Tell me about improvisation as you've done.
Thank you. Yeah, so I've been doing improv since like school, and yeah, I mean, it's basically at its core that you don't need to prepare anything, you rock up, someone gives you a location, and then you make an hour show from that. And we've just finished our run at Sydney Comedy Festival with the group that I do it with, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of listening and a lot of reacting and being present in the moment, which has taught me a lot about performing and the joys of live theatre. Yeah.
So during our residency at Barrett House Studios, you've been working on your work in progress, which is called Whale Fall. And this is how you describe it. A brother and sister discover their estranged father is dying. One cries, one cheers. Confronting him and each other, they face the fractures of their past. What was the inspiration or an inspiration for this work?
What really interests me when writing is like asking the audience a moral predicament and leaving them with the feeling of what would I do in that situation? Like which character would I more align with? And through this residency and writing the play, I found myself flip-flopping with what I would do. So I love that tension of being like, oh, would I go? Would I not go? I don't know. So that was really the inspiration, that feeling of not knowing and trying to decide.
When I was at uni, I did an honours degree in French and German, and just to try and smash a double honours together, I had to find something that would work for both. So I did Tristan and Isolde, the medieval interpretations thereof, and I was bored within a week, which was unfortunate considering it was a year-long endeavour. So my question to you, Sophie, is that when you're writing, and for me, I need to have a hook that interests me, because as soon as I start getting bored of my own work, it's a bit of a death knell, because if it can't keep me, then how's it going to keep anyone else?
Yeah.
How do you keep your focus and your enthusiasm and your creative energy?
Yeah, thank you. I work a lot with visuals, so Pinterest is my best friend. So whenever I feel bored, I'm like, oh, this is boring. I look up Pinterest on like random keywords, and then I get inspired from images. But I again through the old fits have learnt the difference between a character's need and a character's want, and making them quite different, and the characters discovering what they actually need is not known to them, and that comes up during the play and challenging that. And that's really been quite interesting to me, to really like break that down and see what obstacles will stop my characters from getting what they actually need versus want. So that, yeah.
Maybe a song. We could talk about that.
Yeah.
Has the residency here at Barrett House Studios been helpful to you? And if it has been, in what ways?
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. I just started my master's of teaching for primary school, so a lot of assignments. So having like a space to come to and like surrounded by wonderful people, just to be focused and writing creatively has been amazing, and just to like block out everything else. So it's been a privilege to be able to do that.
So, for me, if I have to describe what I'm interested in and what I like to write about it, I'd say it's moral complexities and small, close-knit communities, secrets they hold and a fallout when those are revealed. In my work in progress, which is called Cradleton, I explore the lives of 5 villagers whose past comes to haunt them when a baby goes missing. I'm a lawyer in my day job, or at least a partial lawyer, but part-time, and you get a lot of moral complexity. I've done criminal law and refugee issues, and so in the writing, the creative writing gives you a way into think more clearly about what is complex and what isn't always so easy. So I think my writing's benefited very much from this residency at Barrett House Studios. I've written a good part of the draft of my first manuscript. A good part, but not all of it by any means. I've really enjoyed the company of our fellow residents, and also we've been very well supported by Avril and Emily and Kate. To move on, Mary, let's find out about you. So you are Australian, you're also American. How do you get to be both?
A complicated series of legal, as you would know. I was born in Adelaide to Australian parents. My parents are both from Western Sydney, and have moved back and forth between Sydney and the US for about 35 years now. They've ended up back in Sydney now. And I grew up in the US. I grew up an hour north of Boston. Before I came back to Sydney, I lived in New York City for about 7 years. And yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where to me, it feels very straightforward. It's like, I'm here and I sound like this. And then people are like, I don't know about that. I mean, people are very surprised to hear that I have an Australian family and I grew up having very deep connection here. but yeah, that's how I got to be both. And hopefully, considering the political situation, I'll continue to be both. Yeah.
Oh, yes, I think being both is a good, good idea at the moment. You've got a Bachelor of Fine Arts from the Tisch School of Arts in New York University, and then you've got a Master's of Fine Arts from NIDA. One of your major works was a screenplay called Almost Supernormal. That's a great title. Intriguing. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so Almost Supernormal was one of my major projects at NIDA during my master's studies, which I wrapped up in June of last year. And it is a romantic comedy screenplay about an asexual woman who falls in love with an allosexual or not asexual man, and just kind of what that relationship looks like. I am a queer writer. I was really drawn to telling that story because I thought that's a story we hadn't seen before. I think it's automatically intriguing and quite funny as well. It is something that's not really discussed a lot or represented a lot. And yeah, and so as I was writing it, I was like, here's a rom-com, here's a rom-com. But basically the response to it was like, yeah, okay, but like we want to know more, we want to know more. And since I'm a novelist as well as a screenwriter, eventually I came to the conclusion like, oh, maybe it should be a novel. And so that's what I've been working on here.
In your artist statement, which you'll find on the little handouts that Admiral So and Emily and Kate have so beautifully done for us, you say that very few people understand asexuality. Let's assume I'm one of those people. Can you explain it to me?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's always funny to answer questions like this because I'm like, I've been sent by the council. Not the council, but like I'm sure, yeah, they don't want me speaking for them. But yeah, so asexuality is defined by basically a lack of sexual attraction. And I think the thing that's confusing to people is that means that like a person would be cold or robotic or not want to engage in different forms of love, which is absolutely not true. And it's one of those things where, in the same way that gender is quite a bit more complicated than sometimes we assume it is, whether that's your presentation, your biological sex, your gender expression, and like asexuality is just a lack of sexual attraction. It does not mean a person never wants to have sex. It does not mean a person doesn't want to be in a relationship. It can mean both of those things. It can mean one of those things. And but yeah, like it is a term that I was only exposed to in growing up, in terms of like biology and sea cucumbers. So I was quite surprised to reach adulthood and be like, this is a whole thing. This is a whole community.
And is it a permanent state? Is it a temporary state? Is it a part of an innate characteristic?
Yeah, that is one of those questions that kind of goes down to how you feel about human sexuality in general. Let's get into it. It is, I tend to be of the opinion that we are fluid and changing, and like we don't have to just tick one box when we turn 18 and continue ticking that box forever. For a lot of people, they are born that way and they live that way their entire lives. For some people, they discover it mid-marriage, which is complicated. For some people, they discover it much later in life. Yeah, and because it's one of those things that is just not as well known about, it can be something that you you experience adolescence, you experience your adult life, and the whole time you're like, something's a little bit different about the way I operate, and I don't know quite what that is. And this is a community that also like largely exists online. So it's a community that only came about in the past 25 to 30-ish years online. So I think a lot of people probably went their entire lives feeling that way and just not able to put a name to the term because they only associated it with sea cucumbers. But but yeah, so it depends, I guess.
You were speaking about how you've been working at this residency on changing the play into a novel. How's the progress been?
Yeah, It's been really, this period of time has been like a lot of experimentation for me. As I mentioned on the opening event on Thursday, I was also finishing up the edits for my debut novel, which comes out in June. And it was interesting being at the very end of one project and the very beginning of another, because how I kind of framed it in my head is like having like an almost finished draft, as I'm sure you know, is like you're like holding like a rock melon. Like it's very easy to hold. You're like, I know the limits of this thing and I know what's inside of it. But like with a new idea, new story, it's like trying to hold like a ludicrously large beach ball. You're like, this is too big. This is too much for one person. Like this is unbearable. That's how I thought about it. And so like I was grappling with like really basic questions like, do I want this to be first or third person? Like, do I want to change perspectives? Do I want to introduce elements of speculative fiction, which is something I really enjoy writing? Like, so it was a lot of experimentation, probably fewer words on the page than I would have liked, but a lot of thinking, and to me that's part of the process. So.
You mentioned your debut novels being published in June, so very imminently. What you didn't mention is that it won the 2025 Penguin Literary Prize, and as part of that prize, there was cash and also a publication deal with Penguin Random House, and you're published by the very well-regarded Meredith Kernow, and the manuscript is called Touch Brass. Now, as you might know or about to know, the elevator pitch is of absolute importance and can be excruciating. Do you have an elevator pitch for your book? And if you don't, can you tell us what it's about?
Yeah. I'll do the elevator pitch. It's about a woman who is living in a near future society who wakes up one day as a cactus, and whether she and the world itself is better off for it. That's it.
I was hoping someone would explore that.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're the ones who do it. How's the lead up to the publication been?
It has been like it's one of those things where I'm so grateful. It's been amazing. The people at Penguin, Meredith, my editor Catherine have been incredible. It's been so much fun. Like last week, they're like, we're sending the book to people on Instagram, like write a note, and we're also like throwing in this fun bingo card we made. And I was like, this is crazy. You guys are thinking about this kind of stuff. Like this is wild. So it's been really fun. It's been I think I already as a person and like am like prone to waking up at 4 a.m. in a cold sweat. And so it I am afraid. I'm way afraid. It is intimidating. But yeah, it's surreal, it's fun, it's a lot of work. Like I thought the work would end. It doesn't, it never does. I feel tricked, I feel hoodwinked. But yeah, it's been really surreal. I'm getting to the point where I'm excited for people to read it.
Before we leave you, how has the residency here at Barrett House Studios been for you?
Yeah, it's been a brilliant opportunity. I live in a studio that's like about this big. And so just having the opportunity to have a second place to come to work, and knowing like as soon as I tap my swipe pass, like I know exactly what I'm here to accomplish, and being surrounded by other artists and having an opportunity to build your community in that way has been really valuable as well, especially as a recent transplant to Sydney. It's been a great privilege to get to know all of you, to get to know the folks at Randwick Council. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I'll be sad to go.
In this group of residents, there's one person who's not like the other, and that's our visual artist, who's Vilma Bader. So there's unusually, I think, 3 writers and 1 visual artist, although we have amongst us those who do more than one thing. And I understand next time, the next residency is all visual artists. So, Vilma, have you always worked as an artist, as a visual artist?
No, I started later, actually, in my 30s, um, and I was living in Germany, and and I had my daughter who was only a toddler then, and I had moved to a country, but I didn't speak the language, and I found that the only language that is universal is the language of art. I would go for hours in galleries, and it came to a point where I could. It was in Frankfurt at that time, and then we moved to Munich. But I could actually name every single painting in the Alte Pinakothek or the Neue Pinakothek. So it gave me, and I found that when I was looking at art, I just forgot about everything. And when I came back to Sydney, I started going, after 4 years, looking at art, really. And when I came back to Sydney, I went to the Waverley and Woollahra Art Centre taking classes. And then I was told by one of the tutors there that I should really study it formally. And so I remember I went to the National Art School, and I was just one of those students that I was just so excited and happy to be in art school, and I would never go up a set of stairs. I would take 3-4 steps at a time, so that the some of the one actually told me, several noticed it, but there was one particular one, he was very caring. He said to me, Vilma, you better take it easy. You're going to burn out at this rate. But anyway, I went on. I did my bachelor there, and then I got a book. And in my last year, the third year, I saw that my work was changing direction. I was getting more conceptual. So I decided to go to Sydney College of the Arts, which was more conceptual. And in those days, there was more of a difference between the art school. So I went to Sydney College of the Arts and kind of got a little bit carried away, did the honours, masters, and a PhD. It was 11 years just about 11 years of full-on studies. I didn't stop.
And what was your PhD in? What was the subject or the work? How does it work for visual art?
Well, I was looking at hysteria, not as a modern day 19th century phenomenon, what was happening at the Salpêtrière, but as a modern day crisis of perception, what Walter Benjamin, I'm sure everyone knows about Walter Benjamin and how he described this. And also, I mean, that is because I was so obsessed with art, I thought that I could really identify this, like this incredible sort of incredible hyper focus, and you just can't get to be interested in that was my focus, like incredible hyper focus, which I wanted to explore. I look at a lot of actually, funny enough, I look at a lot of writers, because writing has always been a big thing, a big part of my literature, like people like Marguerite Duras, like and poets. Poetry is also something that I really love. I was looking at Fernando Pessoa, and so I look a lot at writers and as well as artists.
So you're doing a doctorate in English, and yet your mother tongue is not English.
Yeah.
What's your mother tongue?
My mother tongue is French, but I come from a place that we speak English also as a second language. We don't speak it as a second language. It's the language. It's a funny place. I come from Mauritius, so it's French. French is a social language, but English is spoken in the parliament. But yes, and the newspaper are half in French and half in English. Although I still have a very strong accent, but I think my written English is quite it's quite fluent, I think.
So basically being Mauritian means bilingual, just about.
Yes, it is.
Mm.
It is basically.
Over our conversations, it's become clear that you're no stranger to artist residencies. And so apart from here at the Barrett House Studios, you've been to many fascinating locations. Can you give us a bit of a taste of a couple of your favourite?
Yes, I particularly like the Scandinavian countries, because it is very different to Australia, and I really like, it's so foreign to me, and I really like that. And when you do an artist residency, it's I like this discovering, because you don't go there as a tourist, which is very interesting. You actually live like a local for X amount of time. So my first residency was in Finland, actually. And then, I did Sweden, Iceland twice, and yes, several, Norway, Lithuania, and I also went to India, yes, I did one in India, and then I just got back to Sydney, and I found that someone told me about this other artist residency, and I applied for it, and I got it. So I got back to Sydney. I was here for 3 weeks, and I was back in India, which yes, it's yes, I think having studied for so long, I kind of went on a walkabout, I think, just going to all those residencies, discovering people and different cultures and different ways of doing things. Yeah, very addictive.
And could you just keep on going? Is there a point where you get sick of it and you just need to stay still, or you feel that walkabout is for a long time?
Well, I think also from my background, coming from a country that is bilingual, and I'm also Eurasian, so like I always had this sense of not belonging sort of quite anywhere. Oh, I could also say that I kind of feel that I belong everywhere, like it works both ways. So this is some kind of searching, to be in. I also, yeah, I just love artist residencies, to be out of your comfort zone. And
And you've been in the garage studio, which is a perfect place for a visual artist. What have you most enjoyed about this particular residency?
well, it's wonderful to be working in your own locality, and also, although I have a studio at home, this has proved priceless for me, because I tend to work on several work at any given time. So this has given me this incredible, precious experience to just focus on one body of work, certain body of work. And I will leave quite exhausted, actually, because it's so intense, the concentration. And then I will be so excited to be back the next day, because you can't see the work. Whereas I'm in the home studio, I'm so obsessed with art making that I constantly go and have a look. And sometimes, even at art school, I used to bring my painting home, because I wanted to look at it first thing when I wake up and see what has to be changed or what has to be done. So this is really special, to have the work away, tucked away, and then to come back to Barrett House and see my work, and it's been exciting. Yeah, it's been really great.
Sounding dangerously close to work-life balance. I'm just going to do a quote from your artist statement. So you share some statistics in it. You say, according to the latest report from the Animal Medicines Australia, pet ownership in Australia has reached 73% of households. Australians spend an estimated about some $1 billion. Who wants to have a guess? How many a year? 20.
20?
Yes, very good. Almost 21.3 billion. And which is the most popular pet, do you reckon? Any takers? Dachshund. Yes. So as I would expect from Avril, as Avril has been very focused And she has actually gone straight to, they're not called makes or brands, breeds. She's gone straight to the breed, but yes, you're right. Dogs remain the most popular, with 49% of households owning at least one dog, 7.4 million nationwide. Notably, Maroubra ties with Rosebery for first place as Sydney suburbs with the highest dog population. So there's a focus on pets and on dogs in particular in this work. Why is that?
Well, I've always had a dog from childhood onwards. Like dog has always been a very big part of my household, and also as an adult, I was 3 times puppy. I raised puppies for Guide Dog Association because I just wanted, it for short time, and then finally, you know, I had this Labrador that got moved to Scotland, and because of my travels,
So I think we're sort of coming up to a bit of a question time or a conversation. So if there's any questions, this is the time. Yes, please.
It's me, but I was going to ask you what is entailed in your mentorship with the theatre, and I mean that for me is an interesting idea in itself.
So I'm just going to repeat the question because we're recording. So Sophie, the question's for you. And what's entailed with your mentorship for the theatre?
In terms of the mentorship, it's kind of like a group mentorship, and so every time we meet, Mary will kind of mentor us in terms of like structures of play, like how to structure a play, always leaving it very open-ended, like there's no right way, but here's some tips, character development, and these different parts of creating a play. And then in a couple of weeks, we're going to bring in our full plays, and then we're going to kind of workshop them together under like her watchful eye and guidance to kind of like shape and get it ready to be read out in your room with other actors.
Okay. So I guess, so you're individually working on projects, not
Yes.
collectively working on a project.
No, yes, it's like different from like a devising where we would all be collaboratively making one work. But yeah, this one's like very individual, but still together. It's an interesting,
Interesting model.
it's a first for me. It's great, yeah.
Good. Great.
Thank you for your question.
Any other questions? Yes.
Sorry, and people recognise themselves in your art, the locals, does anyone recognise?
So the question is to Vilma, our visual artist, and the question is, do locals recognise themselves in your painting? I'll just pop you.
yes, actually, I had somebody who recognized himself, but he was thinking of getting the painting because actually it was just the way he was standing. Because I tried not to make them too specific, you know. But he did recognize himself. Unfortunately, the painting got sold to somebody else.
Did you tell them you're open to commission?
What was that, sir?
Go and see him and say you're open to commission.
Oh, no, I don't like to repeat what I've done.
No,
I find it very, yes, but but also just very briefly, this is very different to the way I work. This is why this has been quite interesting for me because a lot of my work is very conceptual. So this is more looking closely, but it was very interesting to hone in observational in an observational way to really look closely at. So it's quite different to how I work.
And can I ask you, so were you taking photos of these things and then working from them, or working from ideas or from real life? Can you describe?
Well, I had a visual diary, but I also took a lot of photographs, but they're not literal translation. What I did because there is so much happening. You have to delete and you have to play with forms and to see what works better, what to delete and what to, So but it was quite interesting to just play with You know, and for example, there was one particular one, the person was standing somewhere else in that same landscape, but I moved him because I wanted, I wanted him to see, I wanted the beach to be part of the painting, so I moved him, but it's the same person. And another one, I changed the color of the dog because I realized because I was so focused on Labradors and black Labradors because of my own dog. But many of the dogs turn out to be black, so I tried one of them a different color.
I have a quick question. I noticed that in visual arts practice, there seems to be a lot of walking appearing as part of the practice, and you're one of our artists that's been in residence that uses walking as part of that practice. I wonder if you just wanted to talk a tiny bit about that. And also for the writers, is there something similar? Do you listen into conversations on buses and things like that? What's the out in world sort of thing that you do that might be similar to walking for an artist?
Yes, I find that walking is really, I mean, but that's something that I also did, which I think is, I should mention. When I finished the bulk of my studies, I went to do the Camino de Santiago because you learn about it in art history, and I wanted, because I found that walking, it really puts you in this, it's an intimate connection with landscape and with your surrounding. So yes, and walking is a very big part. I find when I'm walking also clearing up ideas. Yes, working.
Yeah, I'm definitely an eavesdropper by trade. I've had a lot of different customer service jobs over the years, and I think that kind of people kind of use you as a confessional when you work in customer service. And I don't know what it is about me. I don't know if I just have kind eyes, but like people will tell me the craziest stuff, and I'm just like, okay, do you want a bag? So yeah, quite a bit of it is just from interacting with other people. I'm also a big believer if I'm stuck, I'll read for about 4 hours straight, and that kind of resets my brain. I like a walk as well, but I'm no professional walker such as you going to do the Camino, so I don't want to claim it, but yeah, so I'm an eavesdropper.
Yeah, I'm the same. I will also because this work is about siblings, so I'll sometimes fashion conversations with my brother. Like be like, oh, I like just set it up and see his natural responses and just note that down. To try and have a natural dialogue. But he knows, it's consensual. But I also have been taking like my writing breaks here at Coogee Beach because there's like that marine focus in my work, and that's been beautiful. Like just hearing the ocean and thinking about the sea, so that's what I've been doing too. But a lot of eavesdropping on public transport.
Trying to think of something clever and creative, but I think what I most like doing when I'm not writing is scrolling and looking at Catherine Middleton, the princess, and Nicole Kidman, and just all the relationship dilemmas, and yes, I think that's perhaps something I might. We have a question up here.
It's a bit irrelevant, but Mary, you mentioned speculative fiction, and I wondered, congratulations on your book, but also I want to get your take on it, because it seems to be a genre now that people are more interested in. So I think there's something happening in the world that's sort of resonating with that genre or something, and I'm not sure what it is. And it's almost like a genre I hear all about, but I couldn't summarize it if somebody asked me to. So can you just expand a little bit on that, why you think it's important? Because it sounds like it is in your work. Yeah.
So Mary,
if that's a question.
back to speaking for the council. This time.
Yes. The board has sent me. It's a wonderful question, and I'm really glad you asked it. So speculative fiction, kind of how I would describe it is, it's like, so there's hard and soft sci-fi, with like hard sci-fi being like, we've done the research. If there were aliens, this is what they'd look like. And soft sci-fi being like, we're shooting lasers and we're all having fun. And like just like I kind of not as attached to the scientific reality. Whereas I would say speculative fiction almost exists like a level below soft sci-fi, where it is sort of the science fiction dystopian version of magical realism. The science fiction portion of it, I would say, is usually not the focus. It's that surrealism. But I think the question about why it's starting to resonate with people, and it is, and there's been such a boom in it over the past couple years. I think there's a great Ursula Le Guin quote that she writes in the opening to her novel, The Left Hand of Darkness, where she writes that science fiction isn't predictive, it's descriptive. So people write science fiction not to guess what's going to happen in the future, but to sort of metabolize what's happening today. And I think in a post-pandemic, post-Trump, post-internet world, I think so much of our physical and social reality has shifted so quickly, like so much faster than than evolution could account for, that there is just a need for people to physicalize and explore the sort of strangeness of day-to-day life and how quickly it's changed over the past few decades. So that's why I was drawn to it, and why I'm drawn to it as a reader as well. I like hard sci-fi as well. I have a great respect for the great sci-fi writers, Ursula Le Guin, Octavia Butler, both geniuses. And yeah, I think for me, it's interesting in like what you can use the future to say about the present. Yeah.
And I suppose I'd say I'm finding the more the world changes, the safer fiction becomes as a space in which to create, and the less safe non-fiction becomes. And perhaps that even increases it with speculative fiction. And I think also a readership and an audience. So my husband has a sort of fairly taxing job during the day, and does my local doctor, and they both just only read science fiction, which is unfortunate for me. But I think it's, as you say, Mary, particularly from the creator's point of view, making sense of a reality that's strange. From the reader's perspective, maybe it's both understanding that, but also getting to escape.
I think the same thing can be said about visual arts as well. It is a different way of looking, and it's a different, well, it's somebody's version of reality also, so it's,
I think we're ready for refreshments, are we not, Avril?
Thanks, everybody. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and they're on.